Happy Tuesday. We are here for a nutrition roundtable to hopefully answer all of your questions and concerns regarding nutrition. So first thing we want to touch on is portion sizes.
All right, so what would you consider the best way to figure out portion sizes?
Well, the biggest thing is that you want to make sure that your plate is consuming all of the food groups, or as many as possible, getting those macronutrients such as your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. After that, it's going to be dependent on what your goals are in terms of how much of each one.
So would you suggest doing, like, actually figuring out what weight of each thing is to figure out what portion of protein and carbs and fats you're supposed to have? Or would you suggest kind of a quick way of doing more like a anatomical guesstimation of what you're supposed to eat?
I think you can do either. I know I have a kitchen scale at home. It's easy to use, but it's something that I had to learn how to use. Otherwise, I know there's things that you can measure with your fist. You can measure fats with the thumb pad or the finger pad of your finger. So there's different ways to do that, and it's going to be dependent on which is most convenient and again sustainable for you.
Do you remember the anatomical?
Yeah, so for women, it's the thickness and circumference of your palm. For men, it's 2 palms to figure out what you're supposed to do for protein. For vegetables, if you cup your hand together and you fill it all the way up so it kind of mounds over, then that's your portion size for per meal for vegetables. Fats, it's 1 thumb thickness and length of your thumb to figure out how much fats to put in your meal. And we're talking healthy fats, not crap fats.
You forgot one. Starchy carbs is 1 handful.
Yes, that's right.
So
1 handful for starchy.
Potatoes or rice. Good job. I
Almost got them all.
know you were close. That's why I asked.
Cool.
All right, question number 2. How frequently should I be eating meals?
All the time. I'm just kidding.
This is always going to be a tough one. It's going to be based on the individual, like every other suggestion. But some people are going to do intermittent fasting. So there are some people I know that are training with us right now that do intermittent fasting. They have just a 6 or an 8 hour window to where they get all of the calories in that window. That works for some. I did it for a long time, and it worked until it didn't, and I had to make adjustments. Other people might do every 2.5 to 3 hours. That's very beneficial for most, because most people actually undereat, and when you eat smaller, more frequent meals, you tend to get all of your calories in over the course of a day versus just doing 3 meals per day. And then on top of that, you have your insulin response that you're gonna have. If you have just 3 big meals over the course of a day, you're gonna have bigger spikes in insulin, which means the bigger the spike, the bigger the crash. Whereas if you have smaller, more frequent meals over the course of a day, then you will have less of a spike and less of a crash, which keeps your insulin levels a little bit more steady. And when our insulin levels are steady, our fat burning hormone is a little bit more elevated, which is the goal for most of us, is to get rid of body fat. So that's kind of where we're at on that one.
Yeah, I think it's important too. What works for you might not work for somebody else. I know my schedule is pretty regimented depending on what time of year it is, going from boot camp to volleyball to picking up a sister or whatever. So for me, I have to eat when I have time, but I also have to make time sometimes to do that. So if I know that I have a busy day, it might be something that I have to plan into my schedule, and that's important to make sure, again, your energy levels are maintaining throughout the day and that you're staying in that fat burning zone.
And then it's also hard if you have kids. So if you think about the fact that now not only do you have what you need to eat, then you have what your kids need to eat, and they're different needs, then it makes it hard too, because it's really obnoxious to tell parents, well, just go ahead and make 2 meals for every single mealtime to help each other out. My wife and I do this. The easiest way that we do it is, let's say it's a pasta night, let it be that we make a really nice elaborate pasta for her and I, but then for the kids, We take all the other stuff out and just give them plain pasta and separate all the different things so they can try it, because currently they're at the age that they don't like it all mixed together. So there is still a way to make those two different meals, but not make it complicated on yourself.
I mean, at the end of the day, from what it sounds like, it's the lifestyle is the biggest limiting factor. But the one thing you should always focus on is getting enough calories in and not too much. So finding that calorie zone and then applying that to your lifestyle. So if you want to intermittent fast because you're super busy, then that'll work for you. But just because, the recommendation for blood sugar and all that is 2 to 3, hours, you have a small meal. Like if that doesn't work for you, don't get stuck on the fact that that's the one thing you need to do. Because I feel like sometimes people hear, oh, this is how you should do it, but it doesn't work for the way that they live their life. And then, they get kind of in this lost zone almost. So definitely take a look at your lifestyle before you structure a nutrition plan.
Yeah, that's good. Next up, we have cheat days. What are your thoughts on cheat days, and how do we use them if they are out there?
It's not cheating.
Well, what's a consideration of cheat day? Is it a cheat day, or is it just a cheat meal? I mean, are we talking that every single meal inside of that day is a cheat, or is it a calculated overindulgence on one meal? What do you think?
I don't like to use the word cheat.
Yeah, me
What
either.
word would you use?
Mine is a strategic refeed.
Okay, that's not what other people. I was like, I've heard cheat and reward.
I'm not a
I've
dog
never
guy.
heard anyone else use that word.
Dogs get rewards,
Okay.
and that's just
I don't
how
like
I see
reward
it.
either, but I just wanted
But
to hear.
it's a strategic refeed for me. It's if I'm at a certain calorie count over the course of a week, there's always one day that I want to go over that strategically. So that day might be a day that I work out a little bit longer that day intentionally, but then that's the day. So typically it's a Friday to where I'll eat pizza with the kids. But it's not to where I just gorge and go nuts with it. It's strategic. It's built into my week. It's not just this random, I go out, just go to the store and start grabbing stuff. It's like every Friday is pizza night with the kids. So that's my strategic refeed day, and that's where I go over my calories intentionally in order to reset my hormones. A big part of what we're doing here is, if you're looking to lose body fat, you're in a caloric deficit over the course of the day. And when you stay in a caloric deficit for a long time, certain hormone levels will bottom out to a point where you cannot, your body won't allow you to burn body fat anymore. So that strategic refeed day reboots those hormones and allows you to start the process all over again.
I think it comes back to your philosophy in terms of the word cheat. I personally feel that I've grown nutritionally in terms of I don't see food as good or bad anymore. I see food as fuel, and I think if we can start to work to feel how we're impacted by certain foods, then you wouldn't call a scoop of ice cream a cheat, because you are still eating, you're still fueling your body with a lot of nutrients. It's just going to be a little bit different than if you had a bowl of broccoli. So for me, there's a time and place for you to include some of those things that maybe we look at as cheat meals into our diet. But I personally don't believe in having an entire day of cheat meals, because that does not make me feel good for the rest of the week. So finding a way to implement the things that I like into my schedule, whether that's making them, cooking them, buying them, but also making sure that it's a balance. I think that helps me over a longer period of time sustain being in a caloric deficit. And it also makes me enjoy food. I think if we spend time thinking and training our brain to think that food is bad, well, then we're not gonna like certain foods. We're gonna resent broccoli, we're gonna resent chicken, and that's really not what it is ultimately. We want food to be fuel.
I think a good way that the Fit Body explains the types of foods is it's just like money. It's either a good investment or it's a poor investment. And what is it that you're trying to get back? What are you trying to get out of what it is you're doing? So if you put poor investment foods into your body, you're gonna get a poor output. and vice versa. So I think that's another way to look at it versus this is a bad food, this is a good food. It's more so, what am I looking to get out of this food? Is it a good investment for my body and my goals versus is it gonna be a poor investment, and is it gonna hinder me from getting to where I wanna be?
And if you do have those poor investment foods, don't beat yourself up over it either. The worst thing you can do is either have these so-called cheat days or strategic refeed days or reward days or whatever for the meals, whatever you want to call them. The worst thing you can do is negatively think about yourself for those meals. Just know that you enjoyed that meal when you had it. It was fun while you had it. And then the next thing is the next day, you go after a good meal and you go after the good exercise and you go after all these things to help you and just enjoy the moment with it.
Just to touch on that, I think a big part of it is when you plan those days or those meals, the likelihood of you bouncing back is gonna be so much stronger. It's gonna be so much more likely that you'll bounce back into your regular routine if it's planned. If you do it unplanned, then the likelihood of that having a domino effect going into the next day or having those negative thoughts and negative, I guess, self-talk is gonna be much higher as well. So if you plan it, you can actually then enjoy it without the negative self-talk and without the repercussions.
And it doesn't have to be completely planned out to the point where, like, on Saturday we're having this meal from this restaurant doing this. It just, no, it's the plan is on Saturday or on Friday or on whatever day we're gonna order out a meal or we're gonna have like a fun, make a homemade pizza and just have fun with a type of meal. And then come that day, you figure out, okay, where do we want to eat? And that's kind of the unplanned portion of where do you want to eat, but you know that day is the day that you're going to go out to eat or something, or order in to eat during COVID times.
Also too, I don't think reward, cheat, or refeed days have to be on the weekend. So I think if people struggle a lot on the weekends and then getting back on track after that meal, because that's a big thing that I see is, Friday night you have that meal you don't usually have, and then Saturday is a little rough, and then you feel bad about that, and then Sunday is just completely off the track, and then you reset on Monday. So you basically just lost 2 days of your nutrition. And so if you plan that meal during the week, then it's a lot easier to refocus, stay on track, and push through the weekend and make good choices.
So if you have a case of the Mondays, get your Monday refeed day and then go on to a great Tuesday.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
All right, next topic, drinking while working out.
What are we drinking?
I love to have beer while doing burpees.
So we're thinking that this is gonna be entailed with the amount of water that you're drinking during workouts. I know a lot of you guys have purchased the Amazon water bottle or wherever you've gotten it. That kind of tells you where you should be at throughout the day, and depending on when you work out, it might be impacted by the amount of water that you're drinking.
So what's the rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces of water, and then for every 30 minutes you work out is another 8 ounces on top of that. So that's pretty straightforward. Personally, I don't drink water while I'm working out because it will come right back up. So I just don't drink water while I'm
It's
working
either
out.
before or after is what normally comes up for me as well. And those rule of thumb numbers are based on if you are eating the correct amount of nutrition as well, because the other 25 to 30% of water that you're supposed to intake throughout the day is supposed to come from water-filled foods. Let it be your peppers or like strawberry has water or any of those type of foods. But if you don't eat those type of foods, then you need to intake more water.
I would say I definitely drink water while working out, but I never allow myself to chug. I'd say 3 sips max, because you're moving pretty quickly in here anyways, and so you get 2 or 3 sips, then you set it down and you're good to go. Because if you're chugging water, then you're gonna get that belly ache, and then like Mike said, you're gonna see that water all over again, and it's gonna be pointless.
We got clean carpets, we wanna keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's
We
keep
do
it.
have doors all over the place.
Pay used to be a air hostess.
Do you really see me doing that? I'm too tall for that crap.
That would be rough, just slapping people. So other things with water, so, I never actually drink water when I eat either, which would be difficult to do at the same time, but I don't have it within that meal time, because water will actually kill some of the enzymes in the stomach, which then will slow the digestion process and has then issues with assimilation and fat storage and all that good stuff. So I do not drink any water while I eat also. And then cold water versus warm water. Go for it.
Yes.
Do you drink water before your meal? And if
Not
so-
within like 30 minutes beforehand.
Okay, there you go. Because one of the things I know you and I have talked about is if you are hungry and you're not sure if you're really hungry or not, then you're supposed to drink water because sometimes hunger just means you're really thirsty. So then you recommend waiting, you say 30 minutes?
Yeah, normally knock out about 8 to 16 ounces of water, and then just wait, see what happens.
Set a timer.
Yep.
I think for me, I don't drink a ton of water while working out. Similar for me, I feel like if I'm breathing heavy, there's air going through my mouth, even if I'm supposed to be breathing through my nose. I get
Second time I've
dry.
gotten an eye roll this week.
I get my mouth gets dry, and I feel like for me, it's more about like keeping my mouth wet so that I'm not just dying. So I will take a couple sips as well.
So I have that same issue as well, and I normally chew gum while working out.
I will choke.
I'm an oddity. It is a choking hazard. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, but getting that initial taste of the gum in your mouth and then maybe throwing your gum away before a workout helps keep your saliva going.
Yeah.
And that will also help so you can breathe better.
That's good. Good stuff. I think the other way we maybe took this question was, can we drink while working out and still wanting results? I think, again, the answer goes back to moderation. What's sustainable? Do you enjoy it? What is it doing for you? I personally don't drink too much, but I know that if I have a glass of wine or a beer, it's not going to impact my next day as long as I'm not indulging past the point of whatever my specific numbers are for my macros that day.
Yeah, if you're gonna drink, 2, 3, 4, 6 beers or glasses of wine or whatever a night, then no, you're not gonna hit your weight loss goals. You're not gonna be able to lose the weight that you want. It's just the fact that you're taking in too much unnecessary calories that are a low investment to what you're looking to do.
I would much rather eat my calories than drink them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a big part with the booze is it causes inflammation because we're essentially putting toxins in our body. So if we were to drink bleach, that would not be good for us either. But it has a similar effect. It has that inflammation effect, which is when we're inflamed, the body will want to store fat in order to protect the body. So it's just, again, moderation is going to be the biggest thing. It's you don't want to be binging on the weekend, but you don't want to be drinking 3 or 4 every night before you go to bed either, because that you're not getting natural sleep at that point either, which is going to cause even more inflammation and keep you in a heightened fight or flight state. So we don't want that either. So moderation is definitely going to be the key. Choose your battles wisely.
Is this relationship counseling now too?
It's your relationship with your food and your booze.
Yeah. See, I think I have a different relationship because I will not just have one glass. Like, I don't think that is nutritionally worth it. I mean, I probably would, feel the effects from it, but I don't find value in, like you said, drinking your calories. I'd way more rather eat it. And even if I do have that glass of wine or something, I will feel it in some way, shape, or form. Whether I wake up feeling extremely dehydrated or you kind of have a little bit of a headache. So even if it's one drink, like, I do think it affects you, or at least me personally. Everyone's different, so.
Sure.
Yeah, like for me, I grew up around a social drinking family, and it's just get off work, you have happy hour, you hang out with the family, you eat dinner, you play a board game or two, and then at the time I was just like, maybe I still have to go do homework. Just keep going.
I was 11.
I was in college, still drinking with my parents too, but yeah.
11 in college.
I know, right? I'm really smart, but no. So it's and then it ends up being like a cultural thing, and then you're just kind of used to it. So then you don't pay attention to it. So once you become more cognizant of your actions on it, then you can kind of see the effects. So I could go one way or the other. If I really want to get down to working on getting to a certain weight, then cut out the booze. If I want to just be right where I'm at because I don't have back pain right now, and I mean I'm just happy where I'm at, then yeah, I can drink when I want to, and I can take it or leave it. Just all depends on what your goal is and what you want to do.
I will tell you, something popped up on Facebook feed the other day. Quit drinking about 3 years ago, and something popped up right a month after I quit drinking, and I dropped 10 pounds in a month, just after stopping drinking, because my body wasn't inflamed anymore. I was drinking a fair bit, but still. But to drop 10 pounds because my body wasn't inflamed anymore, and then I naturally just made better decisions nutritionally as well because of it. So there was a knock-on effect. When we make one small change, there's a domino effect.
I mean,
Yeah.
with every goal, there comes a certain sort of sacrifice that needs to be had, and it's what is your why, and is that why more important than the thing that you might be giving up?
Very true.
Love that.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go hot seat for this last part.
Hey-o.
And we're gonna do our favorite, quickest snack. Pat, go. It's a hot seat.
Oh, peanut butter sandwich.
Cool.
Ooh, Uncrustable.
Greek yogurt and protein powder.
I make my own.
Cabot Greek yogurt. It's glorious.
Mine will probably be strawberries with a little bit of stevia. That's all today for our nutrition roundtable. Have a great rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.